Hey guys. Tonight, the title is probably a little crazy. I know, Metabolism on Demand. Like, what is that? But I just was typing. I'll probably change the title to something that's a little more telling. But talking about all of the things tonight, talk about the last 2 days and how to actually implement them successfully into real life. Sometimes we get all of this really good information and we're like, okay, this is good information. Yes, I like this. Like sometimes I go to these conferences and I'm like, oh, this is such good information, and I'm taking all these notes. And then I get home and I'm um, like, what am I supposed to do with all of this? So let's try to make use of all of this. But before we get started today, let's pull back from yesterday. And yesterday I said that there were 5 metabolism boosting foods. And they all had something in common. And there were some good guesses. There were some really good guesses, but it was challenging. Unless you really thought about it and you kind of, or maybe you even read something on it before. But the top 5 metabolism boosting foods are all unprocessed. They're all unprocessed. All of them are very basic and they're not processed. And so you think about not processed foods or natural foods, and they typically have 3 ingredients or less. And why, Carla? Why is that so good for our metabolism? Because processed food is, think about it, processed food is already processed. So when we eat it, our body, our metabolism is not having to work to break down those foods, right? It's not having to work to break down those foods. Whereas natural foods, that our body does have to break that down and utilize all the nutrients and tell it where to go and digest it. Whereas processed food has already to some extent been processed. It's from its most natural state. Because not that it's not completely not nutritious, because of course we all eat processed food sometimes. It's very handy to grab a protein bar. I'm not gonna lie. However, it's already been processed. Some of the natural properties of the food have been extinguished in order for it to remain on the shelf for a long time, or in order for us to, be able to have it packaged up as it is and not have to be in a refrigerator, for us to not have to prepare it. It's processed, right? And when I say processed food, I mean anything that's in a box or a package. So all of the foods I shared yesterday were natural foods. They have 3 ingredients or less. Therefore, our body has to do a lot of work, ding, 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 work. That's our metabolism at work in order to utilize that stuff. So really interesting, but it's easy to understand. I hope it's easy for you to understand because then you can utilize it, right? So if something is in a package, it's not necessarily the worst thing ever. We all grab packaged food sometimes. However, it's not going to be the best thing for your metabolism to operate optimally. And today I do want to talk about what it means for your metabolism to operate optimally. And anytime I think of optimal, I think of, wow, this is operating at the very best possible, like the very best. So in order for our metabolism to operate at its very best, then the things that we've talked about over the last couple of days have to be in place, right? We have to be eating foods that revs our metabolism, that our body has to actually work to digest. And we have to be doing the type of exercise we talked about in order for our body to hang on to its big engine, to hang on to the muscle so that we can keep our metabolism high even as we age. So it's not really hard. It actually starts to make a lot of sense, especially when we think about the metabolism analogy, the big engine analogy. Remember, like a big engine, think about a car with a big engine. It usually burns more fuel, right? And it's not because it wants to lose weight or anything like that. It just automatically burns more fuel because its performance is higher, typically, needs a big engine in order for it to go fast quickly and things like that. Whereas a smaller engine just does not. And when we think about that example, that big engine is something that we don't want to feed it cheap gas, right? We don't want to put a whole bunch of processed food in there because it's not going to last as long. It's not going to stay operating optimally if we do that. So that's a really easy way to start thinking about food to keep your metabolism high as well. So think about that. It's something that can kind of stick in your head and not be too difficult. But we're going to cover 3 things today to help you to really start to implement the stuff that we talked about. And I don't like to make these long. I want them to make it easy to apply to your own life. And here's the deal with me. Like, I get really frustrated when I read something and the person only talks about like their experience, but they don't talk about why it works. So I'm going to talk to you today about some things that have worked for me and that have worked for some of my clients as far as trying to keep our metabolism high, because it's really easy to fall off and not pay attention to it and then end up, kind of feeling sluggish or having gained weight, and then have to some extent start all over. It's not bad, but there are ways to stay out of that trap. And I'm going to talk to you about some things that have worked and why. When I tell you the why, I want you to think about how that might apply to you. And everybody's different. And that's probably the most favorite part of my job, is that we're all different. We're all so unique. And so exactly something that has worked for someone else may not work exactly for you, but it may give you a clue as to where you can tweak and try something that is really suited to you, that's more customized for you. Okay, so the very first thing, and I talked about this in the first day, is there is one thing that I don't skip on, and that's my strength training. I do strength training almost every day. And so the way that I do it is that I usually have a heavier day and then a lighter day and then a medium day. And I kind of alternate those around. So I'm not always lifting really heavy, and that helps my muscles to recover. I also don't work my legs really hard, say every day. Okay, and the toning workouts that you have on this channel, for the most part, you're going to be able to do those, if you just want to not think about it. But if you're going to go off and do your own workout, that's okay too. But just think about not working, say, your legs really hard every day. But think about doing your strength training regularly, at least 3 days a week, because as we age, our body naturally starts to lose muscle. It's just one of those things that kind of happens over time, but it's very, very gradual, which means we can negate it by just building muscle more regularly. Okay, so keep your strength training in there. Also keep your high intensity interval training. I gotta admit, I don't love HIIT training. I don't love it, but I do it because I know that it is effective. I only do HIIT training maybe once or twice a week. And if you don't like HIIT training, another thing you can do is just do interval training on the treadmill. If you don't like the HIIT workouts on this channel, or you don't like going to, say, like a boot camp, do high intensity interval training, which means like literally this is the formula. Do 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy. Alternate that for at least 20 minutes, and you're going to get a little workout. Another thing is the Tabata, which is 20 seconds hard, 10 seconds recovery. Just keep alternating that for about 4 minutes, and then take a break for 4 minutes and do it again. So if you're taking notes, jot that down. It's so easy to implement. I do have workouts like that on this channel if you want to do that. But those are two main staples in your workouts that help with keeping your metabolism revved up and revved up high. Weight training, think about it. Your body has to do a lot of behind the scenes repair after you already worked out. And that is what metabolism is, right? It's just that system. We can't necessarily touch it or hold it in our hands, but it's the system behind the scenes that's handling all of our bodily functions, that needs energy. It burns calories naturally. So as long as it's working and it's working properly, and we have a big engine, we have a lot of muscle that we're not losing, then it's going to work optimally. So those are two workouts that are really important. I talked about that. I have already incorporated them into the May calendar. If you're looking at the May calendar and you're like, why do we have this workout? I don't like this dance HIIT. Well, that's okay. You don't have to do that. You can do another HIIT workout, okay? But that's how I designed it. I designed it with those components in mind because I wanted you guys to have a taste of what it's like to do a workout plan that has the metabolism boosting properties already in it. So you don't have to think about it. It's kind of a no-brainer. So what you can do is, if you don't love HIIT training, like I actually would like the dance HIIT, then you can try the other things that I told you about. The thing is, you want to kind of try it, see how it works, and if it's working for you, then keep it. And then you can kind of, test out other ways to do HIIT or other ways to do strength training. Today at work, at my part-time job, we went to this thing called Escape Room, and it was so cool because it gives you these clues, and then it gives you a clue, and then depending on how you handle it, if you do it right, a door opens. It's so cool, you guys. And then you do something else, and then a door opens. And I was like, this is kind of how the body works. The body kind of works like that. Like when you want a result, you kind of have to test things out, see how your body responds, and then you have to tweak it because everything is not the same for everybody. Okay, but your body will give you clues. It'll tell you whether it's working or not. All right, the second thing, this one is something that I don't talk about a lot, but it's really important and it ends up kind of getting minimized in the big scheme of things, is getting enough sleep. And the reason why getting enough sleep is so important is because, again, if our metabolism is operating optimally, then it kind of negates the aging process automatically, right? And so over time, it's natural to lose muscle. It's natural for our body to kind of slow down. But getting enough sleep means that your body has enough time to do all of that repair. There's so much things that happen when we're sleeping that we don't have to do anything, but our body just does it. One thing it does, it is our brain kind of cleans up and tidies everything up and, files things away. And if you think about metabolism, a lot of our brains, oh, I need to hurry up. Taking long. So think about the sleep and how when you're sleeping and you feel refreshed, you can tell, right? You wake up the next day, you're like, ooh, I am refreshed, usually. And you feel like you can do all of the things. That's no mistake. Your body has kind of repaired everything, and your brain filed everything away, repaired your muscles. And so you can kind of hit the ground running and you have extra energy. You actually have more energy. And think about that. More energy, your body can do things more optimally. So this is good. Sleep is one of the most slept on pieces of the whole fitness equation. People sleep on sleep all the time, but it really is good. And for the most part, if you're getting at least 7 hours, then you're pretty good. There is some debate around that, but across the board, when I get 7 hours, and I hear it from my clients as well, when you get 7 hours, your life is just better. You're just less cranky, you have more energy, you don't crave snacks, the processed bad food. So it's just that missing equation that you have to have in there. Don't underestimate it because literally all you have to do is go to bed. Don't underestimate it. Sometimes the best things in life are just that simple, and sleep is one of them. Especially as far as when you think about as we get older, our body naturally produces less of HGH, human growth hormone, which helps our body to repair all of those things. When we sleep, we get our body a chance to produce that and to utilize that, right? Okay, so that's number 2. Last but not least is the water thing. And we talked about this. We talked about the water, and I also want to just go ahead and say all of the food things that we talked about yesterday. There's something that I do when my food is like out of control and I'm craving processed foods, and you guys can try it. I'll tell you why it works. And if you don't want to do it, try something else, but you want to hit the reset button. And that's why it works. The reset button is literally like the same thing you do when your computer is acting up. You hit the reset button and you reboot it and you have a fresh slate. So I do detoxes, and I've talked about it on this channel before. Detoxing is debated, right? They're like, that doesn't work. It's crazy. But it always, always, always works for me to diminish cravings for sugars, processed foods. It always works to help me just feel more energized and alert and feeling good. Maybe the first day is kind of groggy. And it always works when, say I had gained weight or I'm just kind of slacking off with my workouts. Hitting the reset button and doing a detox, even if it's just for a couple of days, always works. So however you want to reset, another couple ways you can do resets is intermittent fasting. It's very popular nowadays, but to be honest, it's always kind of been, something that people did in the fitness and health realm to help your body do like a little reset, So another thing you could do is just, instead of making it real serious like a detox, is just focus on, again, eating those really natural foods that are whole and unprocessed for like 2-3 days, maybe even up to 7 days, and give your body a reset. Whole30 is another really good one. I love Whole30 and I recommend it a lot because it's just very basic in nature and it's actually pretty delicious. So, but the drinking of the water thing and just eating the whole natural foods is something that if you're not doing it, it's going to seem kind of hard. So here's something that you can try that might make it a little bit easier. Don't go at it like full force and start tomorrow. Do it, say, just a couple days at a time. Take a couple days a week. Focus on eating really healthy and whole. See how you feel. And that's already in and of itself a detox. Say you're going to do Monday, Wednesday, or you're going to do a couple days where you're kind of busy. You can kind of prep a couple things and not have to think about it. It's a really good way to do it. For me, it really helps because after I do it, I'm feeling good, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I want to feel good some more. So then and then I also remember all of these great recipes. There are some really good natural food recipes on my Pinterest board. Maybe I'll share the link. And it's like, hey, this is really delicious. Why was I eating that stuff anyways? It's almost like this aha, like now I remember. I feel great, right? So those are all three really easy things, you guys. Nobody's said anything, but if you have any questions, just pop them in there. But yeah, those are three really easy things that can literally change everything. Okay. I don't want this to go super long. We're already on 15 minutes, so I'm getting ready to hop off. But check out the calendar for May if you haven't already done so. Look at how it's patterned with the workouts. That is basically how a metabolic, workout plan will go. And if you missed May, the June calendar is up. I'm going to plug the link below. You can actually grab that. The calendar for June, we're going to be talking about healthy habits. But I like doing these lives. So I like hopping on here and doing these and having them kind of like concise. So I'm getting ready to hop off. But yeah, check out the June calendar. It has, that one is more so based on just healthy habits. Everything is always going to have a little taste of the metabolic in there. So if you missed May, hop on June, you still can get a sample of it, see how it goes. And then we're going to be talking a little bit more on how to do the habit thing. Everybody's different. So I'm going to talk about a couple different ways, and you might find one that works really well for you. Keep looking at the clues. Keep allowing for doors to open, like in my escape room experience. And you'll be surprised at just how far you can get just by paying attention to your body and just like seeing what works for you and what doesn't. It's always that trial and error. Just keep on trial and error, and you'll eventually find something that is boom, just right, like Goldilocks, right? All right, so I'm hopping off. That was our metabolism series. Grab the calendar, and I will see you very soon.